First Samuel, starting with chapter 12 of the King James Version Bible. We're going over God Acts Reviewed, the fear of Mighty God AHAYAH, Saul's offering, Jonathan's plan, the Philistines fooled, Saul builds an altar, and Jonathan rescued. So let's get into chapter 12, 1 Samuel chapter 12. And Samuel said unto all Israel, Behold, I have hearkened unto your voice in all that you said unto me, and have made a king over you. And now behold, the king walketh before you, and I am old and grayheaded. And behold, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my childhood unto this day. Behold, here I am witnessed against me before Mighty God AHAYAH, and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Or whose ass have I frauded? Whom have I oppressed? Or of whose hand have I received any bribe to blind mine eyes therewith? And I will restore it you. And they said, Thou hast not defrauded us, nor oppressed us, neither hast thou taken aught of any man's hand. And he said unto them, Mighty God AHAYAH is witnessed against you, and his anointed is witness this day, that you have not found aught in my hand. And they answered, He is witnessed. And Samuel said unto the people, It is Mighty God AHAYAH that advanced Moses and Aaron, and that brought your fathers up out of the land of Egypt. Now therefore stand still, that I may reason with you before Mighty God AHAYAH of all the righteous acts of Mighty God AHAYAH, which he did to you and to your fathers. When Jacob was come into Egypt, and your fathers cried unto Mighty God AHAYAH, then AHAYAH sent Moses and Aaron, which brought forth your fathers out of Egypt, and made them dwell in this place. And when they forgot Mighty God AHAYAH their Elohim, he sold them into the hand of Sisera, captain of the host of Hazor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the hand of the king of Moab. And they fought against them. And they cried unto AHAYAH, and said, We have sinned, because we have forsaken AHAYAH, and have served Balaam and Ashereth. But now deliver us out of the hand of our enemies, and we will serve thee. And Mighty God AHAYAH sent Jerubbaal, and Bedan, and Jephthah, and Samuel, and delivered you out of the hand of your enemies on every side, and you dwelt safe. And when you saw that Nahash, the king of the children of Ammon, came against you, you said unto me, Nay, but a king shall reign over us. When Mighty God AHAYAH your Elohim was your king, now therefore behold, the king whom you have chosen, and whom you have desired. And behold, Mighty God AHAYAH hath set a king over you. If you will fear Mighty God AHAYAH, and serve him, and obey his voice, and not rebel against the commandment of Mighty God AHAYAH, then shall both you and also the king that reigneth over you continue following AHAYAH your mighty God. But if you will not obey the voice of Mighty God AHAYAH, but rebel against the commandment of AHAYAH, then shall the hand of AHAYAH be against you, as it was against your fathers. Now therefore stand and see this great thing, which AHAYAH will do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest today? I will call unto Mighty God AHAYAH, and he shall send thunder and rain, that you may perceive and see that your wickedness is great, which you have done in the sight of Mighty God AHAYAH, in asking you a king. So Samuel called unto Mighty God AHAYAH, and Mighty God AHAYAH sent thunder and rain that day. And all the people greatly feared Mighty God AHAYAH and Samuel. And all the people said unto Samuel, Pray for thy servants unto AHAYAH thy Elohim, that we die not, for we have added unto all our sins this evil to ask us a king. And Samuel said unto the people, Fear not, you have done all this wickedness, yet turn not aside from following AHAYAH, but serve AHAYAH with all your heart. And turn you not aside, for then should you go after vain things, which cannot profit nor deliver, for they are vain. For Mighty God AHAYAH would not forsake his people for his great name's sake, because it had pleased AHAYAH, Mighty God, to make you his people. Moreover, as for me, Mighty God AHAYAH forbid that I should sin against AHAYAH in ceasing to pray for you. But I will teach you the good and the right way. Only fear AHAYAH, Mighty God, and serve him in truth with all your heart. For consider how great things he had done for you. But if you shall still do wickedly, you shall be consumed, both you and your king. Chapter 13. Saul reigned 1 year, and when he had reigned 2 years over Israel, Saul chose him 3,000 men of Israel, whereof 2,000 were with Saul in Michmash, and in Mount Bethel, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent every man to his tent. And Jonathan smote the garrison of the Philistines that was in Gibeah. The Philistines heard of it, and Saul blew the trumpet throughout all the land, saying, Let the Hebrews hear. And all Israel heard say that Saul had smitten a garrison of the Philistines, and that Israel also had in abomination with the Philistines. And the people were called together after Saul to Gilgal. And the Philistines gathered themselves together to fight with Israel, 30,000 chariots, and 6,000 horsemen, and people as the sand which is on the sea shore, in multitude. And they came up and pitched in Michmash, eastward from Beth-aven. When the men of Israel saw that they were in a strait, for the people were distressed, then the people did hide themselves in caves, and in thickets, and in rocks, and in high places, and in pits. And some of the Hebrews went over Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. As for Saul, he was yet in Gilgal, and all the people followed him trembling. And he tarried 7 days, according to the set time that Samuel had appointed. But Samuel came not to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Saul said, Bring hither a burnt offering to me, and peace offerings. And he offered the burnt offering. And it came to pass that as soon as he had made an end of offering the burnt offering, behold, Samuel came. And Saul went out to meet him, that he might salute him. And Samuel said, What hast thou done? And Saul said, Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that thou camest not within the days appointed, and that the Philistines gathered themselves together at Michmash. Therefore the Philistines, will come down now upon me to Gilgal, and I have not made supplication unto Mighty God AHAYAH. I forced myself therefore, and offered a burnt offering. And Samuel said to Saul, Thou hast done foolishly. Thou hast not kept the commandment of Mighty God AHAYAH, thy Elohim, which he commanded thee. For now would Mighty God AHAYAH have established thy kingdom upon Israel forever. But now thy kingdom shall not continue. Mighty God AHAYAH had sought him a man after his own heart, and AHAYAH had commanded him to be captain over his people, because thou hast not kept that which AHAYAH, Mighty God, commanded thee. And Samuel arose and gat him up from Gilgal unto Gibeah of Benjamin. And Saul numbered the people that were present with him, about 600 men. And Saul and Jonathan his son, and the people that were present with him, abode in Gibeah of Benjamin. But the Philistines encamped in Michmash. And the spoilers came out of the camp of the Philistines in 3 companies. 1 company turned into the way that leadeth to Ophrah, unto the land of Shual, and another company turned the way to Beth-horon, and another company turned to the way of the border that looked to the valley of Zeboim, toward the wilderness. Now there was no smith found throughout all the land of Israel. For the Philistines said, Lest the Hebrews make them swords or spears. But all the Israelites went down to the Philistines to sharpen every man his shar, and his coulter, and his axe, and his mattock. Yet they had a foul for the mattocks, and for the coulters, and for the forks, and for the axes, and to sharpen the goads. So it came to pass in the day of battle that there was neither sword nor spear found in the hand of any of the people that were with Saul and Jonathan. But with Saul and with Jonathan his son was there found. And the garrison of the Philistines went out to the passage of Michmash. Chapter 14. Now it came to pass upon a day that Jonathan the son of Saul said unto the young man that bare his armor, Come, and let us go over to the Philistines' garrison that is on the other side. But he told not his father. And Saul tarried in the uttermost part of Gibeah, under a pomegranate tree which is in Migron. And the people that were with him were about 600 men. And AHAYAH the son of Ahitub, Ichabod's brother, the son of Phinehas, the son of Eli, Mighty God AHAYAH's priest in Shiloh, wearing an ephod. And the people knew not that Jonathan was gone. And between the passages by which Jonathan sought to go over unto the Philistine garrison, there was a sharp rock on the one side, and a sharp rock on the other side. And the name of one was Bozez, and the name of the other Seneh. The forefront of the one was situated northward over against Michmash, and the other southward over against Gibeah. And Jonathan said to the young man that bare his armor, Come, and let us go over unto the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that Mighty God AHAYAH will work for us. For there is no restraint to Mighty God AHAYAH to say by many or by few. And his armor-bearer said unto him, Do all that is in thine heart. Turn thee, behold, I am with thee according to thy heart. Then Jonathan, Behold, we will pass over unto these men, and we will discover ourselves unto them. If they say thus unto us, Tarry until we come to you, then we will stand still in our place, and will not go up unto them. But if they say thus, Come unto us, then we will go up. For Mighty God AHAYAH hath delivered them into our hand, and this shall be a sign unto us. And both of them discovered themselves into the garrison of the Philistines. The Philistines said, Behold, the Hebrews come forth out of the holes where they had hid themselves. The men of the garrison answered Jonathan and his armor-bearer, and said, Come up to us, and we will show you a thing. And Jonathan said unto his armor-bearer, Come up after me, for Mighty God AHAYAH had delivered them into the hand of Israel. And Jonathan climbed up upon his hands and upon his feet, and his armor-bearer after him. And they fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer slew after him. And that first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men, within as it were an half acre of land, which a yoke of oxen might plow. And there was trembling in the host, in the field, and among all the people. The garrison and the spoilers, they also trembled, and the earth quaked. So it was a great, very great trembling. And the watchmen of Saul in Gibeah of Benjamin looked, and behold, the multitude melted away, and they went on beating down one another. Then said Saul unto the people that were with him, Number now, and see who is gone from us. And when they had numbered, behold, Jonathan and his armor-bearer were not there. And Saul said unto AHAYAH, Bring here the ark of Mighty God AHAYAH. For the ark of Mighty God was at that time with the children of Israel. And it came to pass, while Saul talked unto the priests, that the noise that was in the host of the Philistines went on and increased. And Saul said unto the priest, Withdraw thine hand. And Saul and all the people that were with him assembled themselves. And they came to the battle, and behold, every man's sword was against his fellow, and there was a very great discomfiture. Moreover, the Hebrews that were with the Philistines before that time, which went up with them into the camp from the country round about, even they also turned to be with the Israelites that were with Saul and Jonathan. Likewise all the men of Israel which had hid themselves in Mount Ephraim, when they heard that the Philistines fled, even they also followed hard after them in the battle. So Mighty God AHAYAH saved Israel that day, and the battle passed over unto Bethaven. The men of Israel were distressed that day, for Saul had adjured the people, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food until evening, that I may be avenged on my enemies. So none of the people tasted any food, and all they of the land came to a wood, and there was honey upon the ground. And when the people were come into the wood, behold, the honey dropped, but no man put his hand to his mouth, for the people feared the oath. But Jonathan heard not when his father charged the people with the oath. Wherefore he put forth the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped it in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes were enlightened. Then answered one of the people, and said, Thy father straitly charged the people with an oath, saying, Cursed be the man that eateth any food this day. The people were faint. Then said Jonathan, My father had troubled the land. See, I pray you, how my eyes have been enlightened, because I have tasted a little of this honey. How much more it happily the people had eaten freely today of the spoil of their enemies, which they found? For had there not been now a much greater slaughter among the Philistines? And they smote the Philistines that day from Michmash to Ajalon, and the people were very faint. And the people flew upon the spoil, and took sheep and oxen and calves, and slew them on the ground. And the people did eat them with the blood. Then they told Saul, saying, Behold, the people sin against Mighty God AHAYAH, in that they eat with the blood. And he said, You have transgressed. Roll a great stone unto me this day. And Saul said, Disperse yourselves among the people, and say unto them, Bring me hither every man his ox, and every man his sheep, and slay them here, and eat, and sin not against Mighty God AHAYAH in eating with the blood. And all the people brought every man his ox with him that night, and slew them there. And Saul built an altar unto Mighty God AHAYAH. The same was the first altar that he built unto Mighty God AHAYAH. And Saul said, Let us go down after the Philistines by night, and spoil them until the morning light, and let us not leave a man of them. And they said, Do whatsoever seemeth good unto thee. Then said the priest, Let us draw near hither unto Mighty God AHAYAH. And Saul asked counsel of Mighty God AHAYAH, Shall I go down after the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into the hand of Israel? But he answered him not that day. And Saul said, Draw you near hither, all the chief of the people, and know and see wherein this sin had been this day. For as Mighty God AHAYAH liveth, which saved Israel, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall surely die. But there was not a man among all the people that answered him. Then said he unto all Israel, Be you on one side, and I and Jonathan my son will be on the other side. And the people said unto Saul, Do what seemeth good unto thee. Therefore Saul said unto Mighty God AHAYAH, the Elohi of Israel, Give a perfect lot. And Saul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Saul said, Cast lots between me and Jonathan my son. And Jonathan was taken. Then Saul said to Jonathan, Tell me what thou hast done. And Jonathan told him, and said, I did but taste a little honey with the end of the rod that was in mine hand, and lo, I must die. And Saul answered Mighty God AHAYAH, Do so and more also, for thou shalt surely die, Jonathan. And the people said unto Saul, Shall Jonathan die, who hath wrought this great salvation in Israel? Mighty God AHAYAH forbid. As Mighty God AHAYAH liveth, there shall not one hair of his head fall to the ground. for he had wrought with Mighty God AHAYAH this day. So the people rescued Jonathan, that he died not. Then Saul went up from following the Philistines, and the Philistines went to their own place. So Saul took the kingdom over Israel, and fought against all his enemies on every side, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the king of Zobah, and against the Philistines. And whithersoever he turned himself, he vexed them. And he gathered an host, and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Israel out of the hand of them that spoiled them. Now the sons of Saul were Jonathan, and Ishui, and Melchishua, and the names of his two daughters were these: the names of the firstborn Merab, and the name of the younger Michal. The name of Saul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ahimaaz. And the name of the captain of his host was Abner, the son of Ner, Saul's uncle. And Kish was the father of Saul, and Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abiel. And there was sore war against the Philistines all the days of Saul. And when Saul saw any strong man or any valiant man, he took him unto him. Chapter 15. Samuel also said unto Saul, Mighty God AHAYAH sent me to anoint thee to be king over the people, over Israel. Now therefore hearken thou unto the voice of the words of Mighty God AHAYAH. Thus says Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, I remember that which Amalek did to Israel, how he laid wait for him in the way when he came up from Egypt. Now go and smite Amalek, and utterly destroy all that they have, and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, oxen and sheep, camel and ass. And Saul gathered the people together, and numbered them in Telaim, 200,000 footmen, and 10,000 men of Judah. And Saul came to a city of Amalek, and laid wait in the valley. And Saul said unto the Kenites, Go, depart, get you down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you showed kindness to all the children of Israel, when they came up out of Egypt. So the Kenites departed from among the Amalekites. And Saul smote the Amalekites from Havilah until thou comest to Shur, that is over against Egypt. And he took Agag, the king of the Amalekites, alive, and utterly destroyed all the people with the edge of the sword. But Saul and the people spared Agag, and the best of the sheep, and of the oxen, and of the fatlings, and the lambs, and all that was good, and would not utterly destroy them, but everything that was vile and refuse, that they destroyed utterly. Then came the word of Mighty God AHAYAH unto Samuel, saying, It repented me that I have set up Saul to be king, for he is turned back from following me, and had not performed my commandments. And it grieved me, Samuel, and he cried unto Mighty God AHAYAH all night. And when Samuel rose up to meet Saul in the morning, it was told Samuel, saying, Saul came to Carmel, and behold, he set him up a place, and is gone about, and passed on, and gone down to Gilgal. And Samuel came to Saul, and Saul said unto him, Blessed be thou of Mighty God AHAYAH. I have performed the commandment of Mighty God AHAYAH. And Samuel said, What meaneth then this bleating of the sheep in mine ears, and the lowing of the oxen which I hear? Saul said, They have brought them from the Amalekites, from the people spared the best of the sheep and of the oxen, to sacrifice unto Mighty God AHAYAH, thy mighty God, and the rest we have utterly destroyed. Then Samuel said unto Saul, Stay, I will tell thee what AHAYAH mighty God has said to me this night. And he said unto him, Say on. Samuel said, When thou wast little in thine own sight, wast thou not made the head of the tribes of Israel? And Mighty God AHAYAH anointed thee king over Israel? And Mighty God AHAYAH sent thee on a journey, and said, Go, and utterly destroy the sinners that the Amalekites and fight against them until they be consumed. Wherefore then didst thou not obey the voice of mighty God Ahiah, but didst fly upon the spoil, and didst evil in the sight of mighty God Ahiah? And Saul said unto Samuel, Yea, I have obeyed the voice of mighty God Ahiah, and have gone the way which Ahiah sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. But the people took of the spoil sheep and oxen, the chief of the things which should have been utterly destroyed, to sacrifice unto mighty God Ahiah, the Elohi in Gilgal. And Samuel said, Hath mighty God Ahiah as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of mighty God Ahiah? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry. Because thou hast rejected the word of mighty God Ahiah, he had also rejected thee from being king. And Saul said unto Samuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the commandment of mighty God Ahiah, and thy words, because I feared the people, and obeyed their voice. Now therefore I pray thee, pardon my sin, and turn again with me, that I may worship Ahiah, mighty God. And Samuel said unto Saul, I will not return with thee, for thou hast rejected the word of Ahiah, mighty God, and mighty God Ahiah had rejected thee from being king over Israel. And as Samuel turned about to go away, he laid hold upon his skirt of his mantle, and it rent. And Samuel said unto him, Mighty God Ahiah had rent the kingdom of Israel from thee this day, and had given it to a neighbor of thine that is better than thou. And also the strength of Israel would not lie nor repent, for he is not a man that he should lie, or should repent. Then he said, I have sinned, yet honor me now, I pray thee, before the elders of my people and before Israel, and turn again with me, that I may worship Ahiah thy Elohi. So Samuel turned again after Saul, and Saul worshipped Ahiah. Then said Samuel, Bring you hither to me Agag, the king of the Amalekites. And Agag came unto him delicately. And Agag said, Surely the bitterness of death is past. And Samuel said, As thy sword had made women childless, so shall thy mother be childless among women. And Samuel hewed Agag in pieces before Ahiah in Gilgal. Then Samuel went to Ramah, and Saul went up to his house to Gibeah of Saul. And Samuel came no more to see Saul until the day of his death. Nevertheless Samuel mourned for Saul, and mighty God Ahiah repented that he had made Saul king over Israel. Chapter 16. And mighty God Ahiah said unto Samuel, How long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thy horn with oil, and go. I will send thee to Jesse, the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, How can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. Mighty God Ahiah said, Take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to mighty God Ahiah. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which mighty God Ahiah spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, Comest thou peacefully? And he said peacefully, I am come to sacrifice unto mighty God Ahiah. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely mighty God Ahiah's anointed is before him. But mighty God Ahiah said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For mighty God Ahiah see not as man seeth, for men looketh on the outward appearance, but mighty God Ahiah looketh on the heart. Then Jesse called Abinadab, and made him pass before Samuel. And he said, Neither had Mighty God AHAYAH chosen this. Then Jesse made Shammah to pass by. And he said, Neither had Mighty God AHAYAH chosen this. Again Jesse made 7 of his sons to pass before Samuel. And Samuel said unto Jesse, AHAYAH hath not chosen these. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Are here all thy children? And he said, There remaineth yet the youngest, and behold, he keepeth the sheep. And Samuel said unto Jesse, Send and fetch him, for we will not sit down till he come hither. And he sent, and brought him in. Now he was ruddy and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to. And Mighty God AHAYAH said, Arise, anoint him, for this is he. Then Samuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brethren. And the Spirit of Mighty God AHAYAH came upon David from that day forward. So Samuel rose up and went to Ramah. But the Spirit of Mighty God AHAYAH departed from Saul, and an evil spirit from Mighty God AHAYAH troubled him. And Saul's servants said unto him, Behold, now an evil spirit from God troubleth thee. Let our Lord now command thy servants, which are before thee, to seek out a man who is a cunning player on an harp. And it shall come to pass, when the evil spirit from God is upon thee, that he shall play with his hand, and thou shalt be well. And Saul said unto his servants, Provide me now a man that can play well, and bring him to me. Then answered one of the servants and said, Behold, I have seen a son of Jesse, the Bethlehemite, that is cunning in playing, and a mighty valiant man, and a man of war, and prudent in matters, and a comely person, and Mighty God AHAYAH is with him. Wherefore Saul sent messengers unto Jesse, and said, Send me David thy son, which is with the sheep. And Jesse took an ass laden with bread, and a bottle of wine, and a kid, and sent them by David his son unto Saul. And David came to Saul, and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. And Saul sent to Jesse, saying, Let David, I pray thee, stand before me, for he had found favor in my sight. And it came to pass, when the evil spirit from Mighty God AHAYAH was upon Saul, that David took an harp and played with his hand. So Saul was refreshed and was well. The evil spirit departed from him. Chapter 17. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shochoh, which belonged to Judah, and pitched between Shochoh and Azekah in Esphazadaim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together, and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines, named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron, and one bearing a shield went before him. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel, and said unto them, Why are you come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and you servants to Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me, and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him, and kill him, then shall you be our servants, and serve us. And the Philistines said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistines, they were dismayed, and greatly afraid. Now David was the son of the Ephrathite of the Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he had 8 sons, and the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. The names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near a morning and evening, and presented himself 40 days. And Jesse said unto David his son, Take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning, and left the sheep with a keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forward to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his carriage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words. And David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, Have you seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel he is come up. And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make him his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, What shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine, and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine, that he should defy the armies of the living God? And the people answered him after this manner, saying, So shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab his eldest brother heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David. And he said, Why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and thy naughtiness of thine heart. For thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. And David said, What have I now done? Is there not a cause? And he turned from him toward another, and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. And David said to Saul, Let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him. For thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose after me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living Mighty God AHAYAH. David said moreover, Mighty God AHAYAH that delivered me out of the paw of the lion, and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, Go, and Mighty God AHAYAH be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put an helmet of brass upon his head. Also he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he assayed to go, but he had not proved it. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off him. And he took his staff in his hand, and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook, and put them in a shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. The Philistine came on and the Philistine came on and drew near unto David. And the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, a ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the fields. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of Mighty God AHAYAH of hosts, the Elohim of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will Mighty God AHAYAH deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thine head from thee. And I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day, and to the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a Mighty God AHAYAH in Israel. And all the assembly shall know that Mighty God AHAYAH saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is Mighty God AHAYAH's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to David to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. The men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted, and pursued the Philistines, until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to Sha'araim, even unto Gath, and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine, and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, Whose son is this youth? And Abner said, As thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, Inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, Whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse the Bethlehemite. And we're going to stop there at chapter 17. Thank you for listening.